This is Ham Radio Now, the most important amateur radio program on the internet. Always got to say that, because it is.
Yep.
And this is episode 365. Wait a minute. I'm supposed to do this. I know how this works. I know how this show goes. This is episode 365, NCIS Newington. Ba-ba-ba. Got to get myself in even more trouble with those guys up there, because this show has nothing to do with them. Nothing.
Right.
Except
somebody else.
Well, NCIS has spin-offs. There's NCIS Los Angeles, NCIS New Orleans. And so I figure, what's the logical connection for a ham radio-based NCIS show? Where's the capital of ham radio?
Newington, Connecticut.
NCIS Newington. So
I wonder if there's actually a naval station there.
I don't think so. But
right.
I guess there is. Too. Yeah, because they're kind of landlocked.
Yeah,
a little creek, perhaps. So yeah, it kind of falls apart on that basis. But the rest of it works. So I'm not picking on you guys in headquarters. Not today. Let's see. I'm this guy, Gary Pierce, KN4AQ. You're this guy.
I'm David Goldenberg, W0DHG.
And as always, Ham Radio Now is brought to you by you. Is that where this is? Yeah, there we go. HamRadioNow.tv. If you enjoy the program, toss us some cashola. So,
please.
And now on down to there's a big announcement today, and I can't say what it is. Big announcement, but I can't say what it is yet because it hasn't shown up on the website yet. You don't know about this. But we have been honored.
I would say I don't know what it is either. I would announce it.
Yeah, we have been honored and funded. Not funded like we can retire, but somebody sent us some money, and cool. But they're going to announce it today themselves. It's one of the groups out there that does grants. And
cool.
we got a grant. Didn't ask for it.
I'm standing by.
Yeah, didn't ask for it. Substantial. A lot to do with the Tapper stuff that we do. I think that's what they appreciated. I don't think that they like it when we knock headquarters or, kind of rap on anything else. But the Tapper stuff is what they were looking at. But they said, we're a pro outfit until they saw this show. Okay.
Wait, actually, you got a good call out from the podcast for the Tapper stuff you do.
You're coming and going. We got a good call out from who?
Yeah, from the Field Radio podcast. That's one of the Ham Radio 360.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be bad. You're frozen. Your audio went away, and now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. You want to do this? You want to do this just audio only from your end?
I don't, but I think that's probably the thing we're going to have to do.
Okay. I'll make myself the big picture.
So, so I was saying I was listening to the Field Radio podcast that comes out every other Thursday on the Ham Radio 360 network. And John Jacobs gave you a shout out for the awesome stuff that you do for Tapper.
Oh, well, thank you guys. Appreciate it. I'm glad you look around at all that stuff because I hardly ever take time to do it.
Yeah. I know that you don't listen to it because I've been on it a number of times and you've called it out.
Okay.
So
are you on it? Are you on it in your capacity as the co-host of Ham Radio Now or a EC in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think it's more the EC in Los Angeles. I think it's actually more I'm a willing warm body that likes to talk about amateur radio.
Those are hard to come by sometimes. Sometimes.
All
right. So the other thing I want to mention is I got a note from Ray Novak. I'll let Ray know that we were, kind of giving him a little bit of static on the last episode. And he saw it and he said, yeah, okay. The thing he wanted to emphasize was that his blog post did not select DMR specifically. It was all of the digital modes, and as it turns out, some of the analog radios too. All of the commercial radios that come pouring in from China and get into the ham radio service have this stun, kill, monitor capability. As we discovered, it comes turned on. Maybe at least in the case of my MD380, it was defaulted turned on. And yes, NXDN, P25, all of the other commercial radios, they do that. The reason that I pointed things directly to DMR is because DMR is up here and NXDN is down here below the monitor, and P25 is just, barely above the bottom of the monitor. Those are all of the digital voice stuff is in niche mode in ham radio, even D-Star, but P25 and NXDN are sub-niche. And DMR is, coming, I don't know if it's head-to-head with D-Star, or if it's pulled ahead, or if it's just behind, or, I don't know where they are. But in terms of number of repeaters on the air and number of people using them, from what I've observed, DMR is a strong contender. So that's why I pointed it at DMR and called it ICOM Stuns Kills DMR. I got to put the clickbait thing in now for this. And I need to put it into the Wirecast system. I haven't done that yet, so I can do it live.
All right.
Okay, so now current news.
On to the current episode.
Yeah. The chairman calls for current events. So we did talk about this NCIS episode. It's the new one that they showed last Tuesday. Tuesday? Well, today is Monday. Okay, so it was last week. I think Tuesday is the night that they're on. I never watch TV in real time. We recorded on Wednesday, and people had told us about it. I saw some notes, so I grabbed some quick clips, just scanning down the timeline. You can see that little thumbnail picture, and I could see when the ham radio stuff showed up. So I grabbed that, and you saw the from last episode. You saw the clips that I put on there. And it was the usual ham radio operating with some good stuff, but mostly, not really by the book, typically the way we do things, ham radio. A lot of things wrong. I'll show you some of that again in this episode. And then people sent me notes and said, Gary, you need to watch the rest of that episode. And so I did. And so we're revisiting this. So I guess what we'll do is I'm going to play
roll some tape.
Yeah, roll some tape. I'll play three clips. The first one is going to be just the operating. I edited together all the segments from this episode, this NCIS episode. The title of the episode was Trapped, so you can find it. I think they're in season 17. I think it was episode number 6. And the title is Trapped. I just realized why they did that title.
I didn't watch the episode, so yeah. I only saw the little clips that you made. Yeah,
I'll give you a little bit of the plot. A guy gets killed, which is standard at the beginning of every NCIS episode. It's a police procedural with a Navy connection. NCIS is Navy Criminal Investigative Service. So it's a police procedural. At the beginning, usually somebody has gotten killed. And in this case, it's a Navy guy, low rank Navy guy, also working as a groundskeeper at a golf course. And he is killed in a sand trap at a golf course. Turns out he's a ham. So our NCIS investigators go to his house. You've seen this. They find a ham station. And in order to find out more about him, they look at his log. They see some people he's talked to. They connect all the equipment. One of the NCIS guys, his name is Tim McGee. He's the computer geek. And his dad taught him ham radio, it turns out. I've watched for 17 years, never been a ham radio connection before. I think I would have noticed.
Right.
So
They brought it up.
Yeah, but there it is in the background. And there's a lot of shows. Well, there's a few shows where there should be some hams. The one I'm thinking of, for the most part, is Big Bang Theory. Wolowitz, the MIT engineering master's degree guy, really should be a ham, shouldn't he? Do you watch Big Bang Theory?
I don't watch a lot of TV. So the answer is no. Pretty much you could ask me, do I watch any show at all? And the answer would be no.
Okay. It turns out, it occurs to me, full disclosure, you work in the media industry in Hollywood.
Yes, I do.
Nothing to do with making shows.
TV and movie. Oh, no, we absolutely. Yeah, I don't have anything to do with making shows. We just pay the people.
Right. You're
that make the shows.
In the payroll business.
Yeah, exactly. And I watched some of the movies, but very little of the TV.
Okay. Well, but you guys out there, Big Bang Theory, and Wolowitz.
Yeah.
Howard Wolowitz is the engineer in the group. All of the scientists, all of those guys have technical backgrounds, and all of them could be hams. Wolowitz should be.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at least they've never put that in their backstory. So here in the NCIS, Tim McGee, computer geek, turns out, well, he does have a ham radio background. He didn't say necessarily he had a license. He says his dad taught him how. I think he had a license, but so that's probably never going to come up again. But it's in the backstory now, and it's in the main story of this episode. So the guy gets killed. They look at his apartment or his house. There's a ham station. They need to find another ham he was talking to. That becomes fairly critical to get clues as to what happened. And then they find this guy, and I'll show you the confrontation with that guy in a little bit, because that's the part. That's the part you're not.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to like any of it, but that's the part I don't like. Normally, we just go, oh yeah, they're not using call signs right, and they're not using correct procedure, and that's just television. But this part, I don't like it. We'll talk about that in a minute. So what I've edited together first is just the actual ham operating, so you can see what that looks and sounds like. For those of you in the audio audience, I think you'll get mostly the sound. So here they are in the station of the guy. The guy's name is Miller, the Navy guy who got killed. And so here not here he is, because he's dead. Here's his station, and here's Tim doing some stuff. They're not operating this station, but they're going to look at his log, and that's sort of an operating thing. So
Not here. Miller's call log lists of all his regular contacts. Some of them might know something.
Okay, and the reason that I'm emphasizing this is, for those of you that are watching, you can see that these are the call signs, and they're all phony baloney call signs, bizarre call signs. A31YAW, B57HZN, E42FEW. So none of those are real call signs. And then over on the left-hand column under name, there's Swifty, there's Black Cloud, there's Ring Game. So the TomTom, Blaster, they are concatenating, they're mixing CB radio, not just CB radio anymore, Reddit, all kinds of online message boards where people use handles instead of real names. So it's not just CB radio, but that's kind of, what they're sticking in here. Let's see, are we moving again? Yeah.
All right, the antenna's hooked up on the roof.
So what they've done is they moved that guy's station over to NCIS headquarters and hooked it all up in hopes of being able to talk to one of the hams that knows something about him.
Connect the receiver.
Your dork machine is ready for action.
And
I love that.
yeah, when we did the show, the last show, we were mistaken in thinking that he was operating on 10 megahertz, just outside the 30-meter band. And as it turns out, he's operating a 2-meter radio. This is an old Kenwood on 147.3. So that's what he's operating on. And I zoomed in as best I can. I can't, on all of the crime shows, they zoom in on pictures and do a tiny little spot in the picture, and then they enhance it to crystal clarity.
Yeah, you can't really do that.
That's not real. Yeah.
This is A45J04 calling CQ. This is Alpha 45 Juliet 04 calling CQ.
So that's not Tim's call sign. That's the call sign of the dead guy.
And it's your favorite thing, calling CQ on 2 meters.
I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah. Now that you mention it, he's calling CQ on 2 meters. Well, good deal. Right. That's one of the most popular Ham Radio Now episodes of all time. It's within the top 5 or 6. It's awesome.
And we're back at full dork.
We're back at full dork. And that's why we thought he was on 10 megahertz. For those of you watching the picture, the radio that we can see, and pretty clearly, I don't know what model radio that is.
That is a Yaesu FT450, and there's no microphone plugged in.
Yeah,
because the microphone would be on the bottom on the left-hand side where that square is.
Okay, and the display is clearly showing a 10.012.4 on VFOA.
04. I hear you 5 and 9. How is work, Jaybird?
Jaybird.
Everyone on the radio has a handle.
That's yours.
You must know I was the Timinator.
What was your handle, David? What's your on-the-air handle? Are you still there?
Yeah, I don't have on. Yeah, I'm still here. My on-the-air handle is W0DHG.
Yeah, well, it's actually David.
Yeah, David. Yeah, okay, you're right.
And when I mentioned this in the last program when I got in trouble by somebody asking me what my handle was, because that's the kind of language I've never used in ham radio. I said, I don't have a handle. Right. You have to pick me up by the ears.
Right, exactly. There you go. Yeah, that's what, when you said, what's my handle? Yeah.
You were going for that.
David. Yeah, I don't go for it.
Okay.
This is Ricochet.
So Ricochet is the guy we're going to see in a little bit. So his handle is Ricochet.
Who is this?
Let's see, Ricochet. Miller talked to him for over an hour last night. It's his final transmission. This is Alpha 45 Juliet 04 calling CQ.
So we moved down the timeline a little bit. That last scene kind of ended the operation. They did some other stuff, but what I'm showing now is just their ham operating. So now he's still hunting for this Ricochet guy.
Seeking Ricochet. I repeat, seeking Ricochet.
Roger 845J04. Is this the Timinator? Over.
It is. Who is this?
This is Cody B from Kids Club 17. Please stay off this frequency. Thank you.
Please stay off this frequency. You're in Los Angeles. That happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, they say that, but we always ask them why.
See, that's not.
It actually looked like they had an icon. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
They looked like, there's a big LCD screen on the right over next to him. Like they had the model icon that you have set up. I think it's a 7000. Where you can plug in a VGA monitor and you get the full nice color view. And it looks like as he's talking, you can see his voice coming through on the meter.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that is way in the background.
Yeah.
I think, that may be,
is that ICOM 7000?
It may be, although all the radios that he's got are Kenwoods.
Yeah.
We're going to take a look at the radios as best we can in a little bit.
I repeat, seeking Ricochet.
Roger 845J04. Is this the Timinator? Over.
It is. Who is this?
This is Cody B from Kids Club 17. Please stay off this frequency.
So at least they got some young people in there,
Yeah.
And I can't tell if that's a young boy or a young girl, but somebody young and somebody with an attitude. So let's see what else.
Thank you.
Oh, not going so good, huh?
Special Agent Sloan, thanks for coming down.
Glad to help. Looks
Now, she is a profiler. She's a new character in this season. And one of her primary jobs is profiling, understanding, people by their behavior and stuff. But we're not going to talk a lot about that. We're going to get into another procedure here.
looks like you need it.
I'm frustrated. I'm hitting a brick wall trying to find our victim's friend on the radio. Goes by Ricochet. I think he knows something.
And if you can't find him, what's plan B?
It's a technique called direction finding. Use radio waves to zero in on a location. There's a way to block the signal, but I'm hoping Ricochet doesn't know how.
As far as I know, there's no way to block the signal.
Yeah, how do you block that signal?
Yeah. There's some things you can do. I mean, if you want to not be direction found very well, you can be moving. It makes it harder. You can change the direction of your antenna. So you got multiple reflections, and that will screw up some of the Doppler shift direction finding systems. But there's really not much you can do. Just ask any FCC field agents who's done this. They will find you. All right.
Assume he does.
Well, then we've got Plan C, which is comb through a master list of all the ham radio licenses within an 80-mile radius of the D.C. area. 632 names, one by one.
Why 80 miles?
Well, that's the range of the victim's antenna.
Okay, so I have to admit and apologize, although not for anything I said, just for something I thought. The thought police. Because at first, I was thinking, well, they're on 10 megahertz. Well, this is stupid. 80 miles is not a limitation on 10 megahertz. And so it turns out they are on 2 meters, and 80 miles is actually pretty generous. Repeater coverage, even. Tough for 80 miles. He says the limitation of the antenna, that's just making it simple to explain, because it's the whole system gives you that distance limitation and more the nature of VHF. But okay, not so bad.
Okay.
So he's still hunting. He stuck his hand over the display real fast.
I'm done looking.
But I got freeze frame capabilities. He's on 14.255. And there's, I don't know if this was chosen for the reason I can think of, or it was just sort of at random, but there is a net, at least there has been a net daily on 14.255 among a bunch of broadcast engineers, a lot of retired ones and active ones. I've only come across it a few times, so I've checked in because I'm a broadcast engineer, technically. So that has been on 14.255. Is that why they picked that? Is there, people have complained that if there had been a ham consulting them, they would have gotten these things right.
Yeah.
Well, clearly there was a ham consulting, putting all this stuff together. They had a ham, knew what was going on. Like John Amadeo has said, and we're going to talk about him in a minute, their influence on what the writers is going to put in is limited.
Yeah.
And they can shout all day, well, that's not right. And the writers will say, I don't care. We know what's interesting to the audience, and the audience doesn't care what's right. Okay, so 14.255. I'm guessing, maybe there was a ham involved in that frequency selection. Who's on that net, perhaps? So go check in. I think it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's been every day. Don't know if it's still going on. I would let you know, but the radio is quiet because my antenna fell down. I was telling people that before on Facebook before we rolled the show. My dipole broke on one end and fell down just before Halloween. And I haven't gone up on the roof to figure out what's going on. So sooner or later. But the radio here is dark. Okay, moving on. Oh, there's our 14.255.
I've tried every trick I know, and he blocks me at every turn. You win, Ricochet.
Sad. Ricochet wins, at least so far. But they don't give up. So we're going to go to the things that NCIS, the agents and the people talk about hams, because all that stuff is sort of bad enough. The incorrect procedure, the phony baloney call signs, calling CQ on 2 meters.
Right.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Don't get the audience started. I don't care.
Right. This is going to be a good one for the comments.
Yeah. Oh, they're blowing up. We're doing the right kinds of shows. The comments are blowing up on YouTube, on Facebook, on
QRZ.
mostly on QRZ.com.
Yep.
But I thought before we get to them talking about us and finally seeing the guy that is the problem, is that everybody wants to see the equipment. You want to know what do these guys do for equipment? So this is back at Jaybird Miller, the guy who died. This is his shack, and they do some quick pans, and I'm kind of slowed them down. There's that Kenwood 2 meter rig up here, a rotator, a tuner. There's an LDG, another LDG tuner. Looks like an Astron power supply or an MFJ power supply.
I think that's a Linko. Whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Power
okay.
supply.
Yep. And we're coming into a couple of Kenwood TS2000s, I guess.
The top one's not lit well enough. The bottom one's pretty obvious.
Yeah, they look very much the same, just different. Well, looking at it harder. No, they're different.
I think they're
in different colors.
It's hard to tell.
And then we get down to a radio I am familiar with because my father-in-law's got one. This is a Kenwood TS 430.
I have one of those.
Yep, pretty ancient radio.
Yep.
But he has a ball with his every day. So let's see. Where else do we go? We got a wider shot of the shack, all the same stuff, but the way it was put together. And there's an old AEA PK232, an ancient TNC. And another rotor control box.
Yeah.
And another radio over here I can't identify. There's another one up there that we didn't see in the close-up. So the guy's well equipped. And a lot of Kenwood.
And they drug all that stuff out there just to talk on 2 meters.
Well, he talks on some other bands too. Okay, so here's that Kenwood, and the closest I could come up with was a Kenwood TM231. All the knobs and buttons and stuff are in the right place, but it's clearly a somewhat different radio. And I looked for a different version or vintage and couldn't find one, so not sure what the difference is. But it's close. Mm-hmm. It's a 2 meter radio, and again, he's on 147.3.
Yep.
And there's that.
That's FT450.
Okay, so that's a Yaesu.
Yep.
Okay. And on 10 megahertz outside the band. So here's the house where you'll see this again in a bit. This is the house that they're going to. This is where Rick O'Shea lives. And so he's got, it's a nice suburban house. I'm sure it's California someplace. Got a little tower, compact beam. I don't recognize the beam itself. And then up there on the beam, I think there's some dipoles. So those can't be guy wires. They're too slender. I thought maybe these wires were dipoles, but I think they're just power lines.
That's power. The top one.
Lines.
The top one's going to the power nipple for sure.
Yeah. And I looked at the base of the flagpole just to see if that was maybe had a coupler
loaded
or something. But no, I think he's just going for the stuff that's on the tower. So that's him, and we'll hear him in a little bit. But that's the station behind him. That's a pretty darn well-equipped station.
Yeah.
Again, I don't recognize everything over on the left. There's a couple of scopes, some test equipment. There's that, I don't know if it's like
HRD.
Yeah, it could be. It's got a waterfall, got a bunch of other controls and stuff on it. I think I zoom in on it a little bit.
Oh, that's a Kenwood 990 at the bottom.
Yeah, we'll see that below. There's another. I sort of think all of the radio equipment is sort of in common. I think they just moved it around from one place to another. But so there's the PK232. That's a Kenwood 990, and there's the
TS2000.
2000, and maybe is that the 230 or the 430 again? I'm not sure.
No, it doesn't look right. That's more like the 480.
Yeah, hard to tell.
Yeah.
And again, I can't sharpen these pictures up. Sorry.
Yep.
The audio audience isn't getting it all. Down here, I'm pretty sure that is a Pierce Simpson CB radio, a real ancient one. Not sure. And the stuff to the right, I can't quite tell. I think that's the LDG tuner.
Yeah.
Again.
Yep.
And this rack here, the thing on the top, that's a Yaesu FT101. I know that for sure. The dial thing is missing, but that's what it is. The radio to the right, can't identify that. And I think it's a rack of power amplifiers below, and I can't identify what they are at all. They look commercial.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, so don't know. I think I go back out and just give us a wide shot of everything again. And Cindy's comment, my wife Cindy, her comment was, that shack looks way too clean. It's way too neat, especially if he's the guy that, he's being portrayed to be. I know hams, you probably know hams, whose ham shack they should have shot this at.
Right.
So,
for sure.
Yep. I think I go to a wide shot of the house.
And he's got the it looks like he's got the microphone set up so that he's standing there operating, which is, it's right up there high, or maybe it's just that he stood up. It looks like, there's that boom.
Yeah.
Hard to tell.
Well, with
the spit guard there.
Yeah, which no ham ever uses. It's purely broadcast thing. So when they were setting that set up, they probably said, well, we're going to be standing and we want all this stuff to be in the shot. So they would put it up there. So, so again, we got the wide shot coming up here of the house. There's our agents. And so what I wonder is, is this some employee's ham shack that they just went to? Is that the way it always is set up? Or is this a totally set up thing? And here's where I wish we could have, ask John Amadeo about it, because he knows how much work goes into setting up stuff to do shots like this. If it was me, I would have, done it the easy way. I'd have just said, let's go to your house and we'll shoot in your shack. But Hollywood's got some money to spend. I don't think they do it that way.
I'm guessing that based on the fact that it's in that nice living room and there's some nice furniture and the big fireplace, that that's all staged.
Yeah.
Got the recliner chair, the fireplace, and
it's at least somewhat staged.
There's some tchotchkes and stuff on the thing on the right hand side. No ham's going to have that. It's going to be covered with CQ magazines and stuff.
Yep. But there's some loose boards over here on the left. Like, this is the only place he's got set up, and everything else, the house is still under construction for 20 years.
Right.
So, all right. So, we've seen operating, we've seen the equipment. Now let's look at what they think hams are. And then we'll get to the scene. This scene here, we'll see the whole scene where they're talking to him and who.
Yeah.
I would like to mention here at this point of the program, attention CBS.
We're going to get a takedown for this.
Well, for the previous episode, they didn't get a takedown. I didn't get a takedown. What I got was a copyright infringement notice, and they said that they were going to monetize the views. They put their ad in, probably a pre-roll, and monetize any views and collect data from it, which is actually a nicer thing for any content owner to do rather than just, take down, is to just say, no, well, you can keep using it. We'll just, scrape some money off of it, and off of any, given Ham Radio Now program there, they could get as much as $1.50, maybe $2. So, they'll just rake it in, don't spend it all in one place, CBS.
That's right.
Not enough. Even so, I don't want to annoy Ham Radio Now viewers with the pre-roll, because that's annoying. So I filed a dispute based on fair use. So attention, and it was a robot. Nobody actually looked at it.
Yeah.
Nobody looks at those things. Attention CBS. This is fair use. This is commentary. This meets all the criterion where we are changing the nature of the thing. We're not giving away the heart of the material. We are adding legitimate commentary. And the only piece they picked was the long segment, about 1 minute, 10 seconds long, where we didn't interrupt it. I used a lot more than that. I used a total about 5 minutes. But we'd stop and interrupt and say things. And they didn't isolate that. They just isolated the last about 1 minute and 10, 15 seconds where we didn't really say very much about it. We were just showing our viewers what they did with our hobby. And that's pretty much what's going to happen next year. So attention CBS. This is us showing hams what you think of us. And here we go.
You work 2 jobs. Wonder what he spent his money on.
McGee? Miller was into something weird.
This is not weird. This is a ham shack.
Huh? Was that code for something?
No, ham radio. Social media before there was social media. One-to-one conversations to hams all over the world. All right, antenna's hooked up on the roof.
So it started pretty positive, one agent, his name is Torres. He says, something weird. And Tim says, no, it's not weird. Hams are, something pretty good. And there'll be a little bit more of it in this scene, but then it's going to go to hell.
Yeah.
Did you connect the receiver?
Your dork machine is ready for action.
By the way, here's my dork machine back here.
It's not ready for action.
That dork machine is not ready for action, but I got a bunch of other dork machines that are just all set to go.
Yep.
Don't make fun all you want, Torres, but I'll tell you what, ham radio is the lifeline in times of crisis. Did you know that after 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina, ham radio was the only way emergency responders could communicate?
Well, it got less dorky.
This is A45J04 calling CQ.
And we're back at full dork.
I know it's kind of weird, all this equipment just to talk to people you can talk to in real life.
No, I know a little bit about it. Hams are a unique breed. For some, it's their only conduit to society. How many people signed your yearbook?
I really don't feel like reminiscing right now.
Okay, so this is going to get a little away from pure ham radio for a moment. We'll get back to it. But what this goes to, we're in court, Your Honor, this goes to the what they are going to look at as the psyche, as the personality of hams in general, sort of, and this particular guy, this Ricochet in particular. So that's what we're getting into here.
It's not where I was going with you, sorry. I found Miller's high school yearbook at the apartment. Come take a look at this.
There's only 3 signatures. Kind of an unpopular kid.
David, that was me. Was that you?
I had more than 3 signatures.
Were you were not?
But I wasn't to him. But I wasn't to him until I was like in my 40s.
I was a ham in high school, and yeah.
Really, 3 signatures?
Probably none. Well, my high school career was a little awkward because I flunked out of four out of 4 years, and so in summer school every year, and then I had to go to a half of a 5th year just to make up enough credits to get out of high school with an F plus or a D minus. It's like, you're getting too old. Get out of here, kid. You're clearly in it. This is 1969. I didn't think about it this way, but you're clearly in this for the student deferment.
There you go.
Go try to get one in college someplace. Good luck with your high school record. But I still am. I seem like a very energetic and forthcoming and outgoing person here on this television show. But at a party, I'm miserable. Small talk, I hate it. I can barely make it through a ham fest with, just ordinary talking to hams that aren't part of the show. I hate it. So yeah, that was me.
That was you.
He had 3. I think I've got a high school yearbook, but I'm not sure from which year. Not the year I was supposed to graduate. I didn't go to the graduation. I hated it all.
We're going to have Jerry Ellsworth back on and ask her how many people signed her high school.
Well, she didn't graduate high school at all.
I thought she didn't graduate college.
No, she didn't graduate high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she was giving me.
She didn't even get one.
Yeah, she was giving me something of a pass for getting through high school.
Okay,
yeah.
Right.
I didn't go through the whole story of how long it took me. She probably would have been happier with me then. All right, let's find out about more of this miserable ham.
Popular, almost invisible. Think about Miller, okay? Quiet, shy. As a quartermaster in the Navy and a groundskeeper on the golf course, he worked alone. And he took anxiety medication, probably just to get through the day.
I don't do that.
And don't forget about the birthmark.
What, on his face? I barely noticed that.
Don't dismiss it. When you're a child and different, kids can be cruel. Some people never get over it. The radio was his salvation.
There we go.
He could let his guard down, become a different person. He was confident, gregarious, anonymous. He got to use his best asset, his voice. Listen to his outgoing message.
Hello. You've reached Jake J. Bird Miller of A45J04. Leave a message, and until then, see you on the radio.
Wow. Same guy, different person.
Exactly.
Okay, so what do you think so far?
I think I don't like the next part.
Oh.
They tried to bring it back and redeem it a little bit, but yeah, the young guy is clearly, jaded towards the dorkdom, and
a lot of it was specific to that one guy, and then there'll be this next guy.
Yeah.
But there was also a fair amount of general castigation of hams as
Yep.
as,
loners and antisocial and
introverts.
And I'm gonna do that to you in 10 minutes when I have to go back to work.
Yep. I understand. So we'll get through this, and we'll give you as much time to talk as we can, and then I'll
Sorry, Gary.
Yeah, and then I'll read John Amadeo's comments to me. So here we go.
Who is it?
Mr. Shea, NCIS Special Agent Tim McGee. We spoke on the radio yesterday.
I've got to put some clothes on.
That could be me.
These are why stereotypes exist, McGee.
No. Well, this guy has no driver's license, no home phone, no cell phone, no reportable income since 2007. So I think this guy's going to be exactly who you picture when you think of ham radio weirdo.
Got it.
Okay, let me play that one more time. Warning, danger.
Reportable income since 2007. So I think this guy's going to be exactly who you picture when you think of ham radio weirdo.
Got it. Bet he doesn't open the door?
No.
I was wrong.
You so stipulate that all words and actions will be recorded and uploaded live onto a secure server.
For those of you that are in the audio audience, this guy is his hair is unkempt. He's got a t-shirt and slacks, and it doesn't look totally grungy, but he's got a camera mounted on shoulder straps and a strap around his chest that he's using to record this conversation out of his terrible paranoia, which you're beginning to understand just listening to him. So that's what you're missing if you're in the audio audience.
No problem.
And any illegal search and seizure will be documented and reported.
We're just going to ask you a few questions.
No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime.
Mr. Shea, you don't need to recite the Fifth Amendment.
But he is standing in front of that ham shack we were describing, where they're really nice ham shack.
Unless on a presentment of an indictment of a grand jury.
Ricochet. Hey, buddy, listen.
Yeah.
It's okay, all right?
Yeah.
I know it's scary to have federal agents in your house.
Yes.
Everything's okay. Right? Is your dog okay?
He's just very curious. I don't get many visitors.
Okay, and that is pretty much it for what I can show you that is relatable to ham radio directly without getting out of my fair use exemption. Attention, CBS, fair use. Warning.
Yeah, the robot's not going to care.
No, it won't. But this is fun, and I get to dispute it again.
Oh, that was terrible. I'd really love to hear what I saw you send a note to John. I didn't see the response back, so I'd love to hear what he had to say.
Well, you will get it when you watch the rest of this program, because I'll read it once you're gone.
Okay.
I also sent a note to CBS. I looked for contact information, and I picked the person who's the vice president of diversity and inclusion.
Nice.
And thinking, maybe that's somebody that actually reads their mail, and said that we're used to the whole thing of people get it wrong, but I think this is damaging. I legitimately, and now in 2017, everything is black and white. Everything is against one wall or the other. Everything is the Twitter outrage engine takes you to the max. It is digital. It is 0 or it is 1. This is not 0 or 1. This is, 0.2, somewhere in the worst things have happened, but I think this can do damage. I think that it can do damage against legislators when we're talking about antennas. And if they've seen this, our homeowners associations, if they've seen this, they're already predisposed to think that we are a little strange. And so this adds to that limit, or to that impression. It can do damage to a technical person at work if they want to rise beyond the engineering staff.
Yeah.
And it is not like this never happens to anybody else in TV. One of the points that John is going to make, or will make in his letter, is you see doctors kill people using their medical knowledge. You see firemen become arsonists. It happens in other professions. Those professions are well known to the public, and the public knows that most doctors are not homicidal. Most firemen are not arsonists. It happens in other professions that are not quite so well known, and it gets a little bit harder for me to judge. And I react to this. Hams react to this because this is our ox being gored. But more than usual, this is our ox getting the guts ripped out, stomped on the floor. So that's my reaction. What can we do about it? I think that the league should take the lead in making some complaints. There may be an opportunity here at the local station level. If hams would go to their local CBS station and say, look what you put on about us, and look what you put on last week about us with the Red Cross and Hurricane Maria, and don't watch that Ham Radio Now show. And one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
But we feel damaged, and the CBS network is not going to invite one of us on 60 Minutes and say, here's what we showed, but here's what ham radio is really all about. That is not going to happen. But at your local CBS affiliate level, something could happen. They kind of like doing things like that. They said, we got some good guys in our neighborhood, and one of our shows portrayed them in a really bad light. And so we, this is kind of an interesting thing.
And I wonder how many engineers are out there that work for those local CBS affiliates.
Lots. Yeah.
That are hams.
Yeah.
That should be upset. Because when I watched this last part, it bothered me. And they did. Hams have helped in Katrina and 9/11, and then there was a little bit of the trying to take it a positive direction.
Yeah.
And they showed this guy, and he's whackers.
Yep. And you saw that in sequence of the show, but in sequence of writing the show, that probably came last. They probably had the rest of this script all set up, and they say, well, we have trashed these guys pretty good. We got to throw them a bone.
Right.
And
they have to insert some stuff earlier on in the show to make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
I'm sure they started with that end scene.
Yeah. And that
Crazy Ham with a messed up hair and a ripped T-shirt and his paranoid, body cam and what have you.
Oh, it is a ripped T-shirt, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's dirty and it's ripped and ugly.
Yeah. He's yeah. Okay. There we go, CBS. Proud of yourselves.
All right. Well, thank you so much for including me in this, Gary, and I apologize for having to drop off. But I look forward to listening to the last little bit. Why don't you put up my my lower third, and I will sign.
Oh, because I got to find it. There we go.
Oh, that's okay. You don't really have to.
I know where you are, and there's your little picture. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
we got
I'll
a picture
just throw it back on now because
Yeah.
it's going to kill it. So I'm W0DHE, David Goldenberg. I think Gary's right. Reach out to your CBS affiliate and see what we can do about it.
Okay. Say over.
Over.
We're not out yet.
Yep, I know.
I'll
Talk to you later.
Say goodbye to you.
Yep. Bye, Gary.
Okay. So, what else have I got here? I wrote to John Amadeo and N6JA. I'll make put my title up for a moment. It's because David's been sitting there for so long. Okay, that's long enough. Back to the bug. I wrote to John Amadeo and N6JA. John is the producer from Last Man Standing, which had a 5-year run, had that some ham radio in it. We had a long interview with him last December, and we learned a lot about what goes on in the background. If you haven't watched that, I don't remember which episode it is, 240 something, I think maybe. Learned a lot about what goes on in the background. We talk a lot about how the hams, when anything like this happens, just go ballistic. But a lot of it is the operating procedure was wrong. They didn't use the right call signs. They didn't ID every 10 minutes. You know what these shows should do? They should just take out the handbook and read it from the front to the back. The license manual. All right. So I sent John a note. I asked him if he'd come on the program, and he wrote back some comments, but he didn't want to come on the program, and there's a good reason why. John is looking for a job. He's working on a project. He's getting started on a project, but he's always, the way these things work. Maybe the pilot he's working on is going to fly. Maybe it's not. He always has to have people in his business able to find him and see his work. And he said before he was doing Last Man Standing and before he had all the ham radio connections, if you Googled John Amadeo, producer, you got clips of his previous work. I got to make my phone shut up. Going beyond its... It triggered Google telling me about John Amadeo. I should go see what that is. Okay. Yes, 1 hour will be good. What did it say? Yeah, it's not going to be easy to find. If you Google John Amadeo before, you would get connections to the previous programs that he worked on, Arrested Development and other shows like that. This is before Last Man Standing. If you Google him now, you will get him appearing on a lot of ham radio shows, like Ham Radio Now, and mostly Ham Nation and W5KUB, talking about ham radio, which is nice for us. Doesn't do anything for his career. It doesn't show someone his next job. How hard is another producer, someone, putting together the next show, going to dig down through all of that stuff and find him? Hopefully a lot, but there are a lot of producers out there, and he's competing with a lot of good, talented producers, and he doesn't need to be hard to find. So he doesn't want to add to that right now. I can understand it. But he did send me some comments here. So, that one, yeah. Says, watching the clips, I have to agree. Okay, I'm going to try to learn how to read here. Watching the clips, I have to agree that it's not very flattering. The portrayal plays to the most negative cliche about who ham radio operators are. This particular ham seems to be suffering from a fairly serious social interaction disorder. It's unfortunate that the show chose amateur radio as the hook to hang the story on. Out of necessity, writers will take an archetype and expand it to fit the needs of the story. And there's things we talked about Last Man Standing and why there was no more ham radio than there was, and what there wasn't 100% accurate. This NCIS episode feels wrong to us because it hits us where we live. It would be something like having a character that is a firefighter and is also an arsonist, or a doctor who uses medical knowledge to kill. These storylines might offend firefighters or doctors, but the audience will be relatively unfazed. It's a bit more damaging in this case because most people don't know any hams and already assume this is what hams are like. This is definitely not an episode of television that helps amateur radio in any way. However, discussing it within the amateur radio community will do nothing to help. The real work has to be done to help the larger audience see the positive aspects of the hobby. I've seen some decent coverage about amateur radio helping out in Puerto Rico. CBS, NBC, CNN, NPR, and I'm sure other outlets reported on the event. Seems like this would be a good time for national and local clubs to push the public relations envelope and disseminate some positive information about this great hobby. My hope would be that when the public gets to meet groups of hams, they're not just told about MCOM, but also about the educational benefits and how much fun ham radio can be. Thanks for continuing to create great content. And he signed it, John. And thank you, John. So there you go. Again, I think might be an opportunity for hams in each television market. Smaller the market, the more likely this is to happen. New York, LA, maybe not so much, but who knows? There are hams, mostly in engineering, but not all, at these stations. Maybe you can enlist their help. But my experience being an employee at a major market television station is they're not going to listen to me very much. It's pressure from the audience that they react to. To say, the CBS stations in particular, that one of your programs really trashed us pretty hard. And you probably ran that Hurricane Maria story about Puerto Rico and the hams a couple weeks ago. And now there's this. Square that circle. Maybe they will. I don't know. Okay, that'll be it. Ham Radio Now brought to you by you. Ham Radio Now at .tv. Arvin sitting back there, hoping that you contribute to the program. And I'll have to look and see if that foundation has announced the grants yet, made us public. But if you want to see what they are, I can't tell you who they are. Yasmin. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Probably by now it's public. Okay, now it is. See you guys later. I'm Gary Pierce. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I can do that. Can I? Can I make that happen? Okay, I'm supposed to be able to push this button and that button twice, and it comes up. I don't see anything. One more try. There we go. I'm Gary Pierce, KN4AQ. 70, and I'm supposed to push that button twice and it goes away. Over and out. No, John said
over.
All I have to say is out. Screwed that up. David said
over.
John. No, it's John Amadeo. I was reading. Yeah, that's where I got the John from. David said
over.
All I've got to say is out. This is Ham Radio Now, episode 365. No, wait, I'm going to start over because I forgot to say. And now, go back to Facebook, see if we've collected an audience. Oh, there's 8 people watching. One of them might be me. I don't know. Big Radio is a TS940. I thought it was a 990. And Kurt says, looks like 147.32. I think it said 147.30. when I could see it more clearly. But neither here nor there. I noticed it did not shift to 147.90 when he transmitted, so I don't think he was really transmitting. Should have invited Marty to come play. Looks like Marty's around. But I don't think he's watching. He's just sending me a couple notes about the program that he worked on. Okay, so that looks like it. I keep wanting that button and I get a different button. Well, somebody's saying CBS Entertainment copyright blocked your video because it may contain content they own. Well, yeah, it contains content they own. And what I just showed here contains content that CBS owns. Fair use gives me the legal right to use it when I am using it in a certain way. I can't just lift it, put it on my show and say, hey, let's enjoy some CBS content. But if I'm using it as commentary, yeah, that's fine. And let's see. Got some member requests, I think. Come on. Yeah, maybe David accepted that one. I don't know. Things have slowed to a crawl here on the computer. Things have frozen up. Refresh the page. Still nothing. Attention world, Facebook is down. I think we're still on though. See, one person wants to join the group. But I get over to this page and nothing happens. Okay, do we have any more comments? Some folks like the video. Thomas Land is sad about it. And he made a comment. Let's see what he said. They should have checked out the local ham radio club. They would have run into some shady characters there. Yeah, well, there are undoubtedly a few hams that were like our Ricochet character. I don't know anybody directly like that. If you were to look on YouTube, you will see plenty of hams that. What territory would you group them into? Sort of in the prepper land and the highly suspicious of the government. When you get into that territory, you've got all kinds of nuance of areas of concern and belief, and so not everybody's totally paranoid of the government. Some are afraid that the next big hurricane is going to cause them a problem. Some are worried about a war. Some are worried about the government coming after you. So they picked an extreme cliche out of the most extreme of some of those personality types. So anything else? That's pretty much it. Mary Moore, nobody ever accused me of being quiet. Yes, not everybody is, wallflower. Some hams have outsized personalities. Top of the TS2000 is a Yaesu FT for 847. Yeah, I'm not very familiar with Kenwood or Yaesu HF stuff. Mary Moore says, I saw that and was appalled. Gave hams a bad reputation. Wanted to write to NCIS, but chalked it up as Hollywood theatrics, and that is par for them. And I would agree, except that I think that this takes it too another level. So I think it's worth it. I think it's worth letting them know that we saw it. We were watching you. We weren't so impressed. Okay, get back to, wrong button. Wrong button. Get back to the Wirecast program. Turning off Facebook. My Facebook. Turning off the hard drive.